Hello and welcome back to Foos Entertainment. For my last video of Horror Fest 2025, which is my updated opinion in my retrospective on, I guess a retrospective in terms of a ranking on the 7 films as well as the remake. And obviously my thoughts on the new 4K quality of Wes Craven's New Nightmare from 1994. Alright, my opinion of the film. I have always held Wes Craven's New Nightmare high up as one of my absolute favorite Nightmare on Elm Street films. And it still is. I think that it has that creepiness and that real scare factor that, a lot of these films just don't have. There's very few of them that do. I would say the ones that really have that scare factor to me would be Nightmare 1, Nightmare 2, Nightmare 5 in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I would say that Nightmare 3, 4, and obviously 6 just don't really have that scare factor. But Nightmare 7 takes it to a whole new level. I think that's the reason why I always held it in such high esteem. And I also like the fact that Freddy's not really, the main center point of this film. I mean, we don't really see Freddy Krueger at all until, at the beginning of the 3rd act going into the 4th act of the movie is when we start seeing them. That's if you do 4 acts. People always usually do 3. So if you want to go on 3 acts, I guess, which is, I guess the intro, body, and the conclusion. Yeah, so I guess 3 acts. We don't see Freddy Freddy Krueger in this movie until near the end of the 2nd act of the film, going into the 3rd act. So I always found that kind of cool, and that's something that with the really good Nightmare on Elm Street films, you don't see Freddy all the time in the films. The ones that are more mediocre and have Freddy in like every single scene, eating the movie up, like you have in 3 and 4 and 5, somewhat, yeah, and 5. But what 5 does is it has that gothicness that I think that 3 and 4 just don't have. And of course, he's in every scene in 6. So, well, almost every scene. So it's refreshing to go back to having that more darker, more evil, more scary version of the character with New Nightmare. All right, talk about the 4K quality. This is definitely more digital, processed looking movie than Freddy's Dead. Now, it's not like overly digitally processed to the point of, say, Halloween H2O. And when I reviewed the 4K of that, I believe last year, I think you guys definitely understood where I was coming from. I mean, it was the year before, one of those two. But yeah, it's definitely more digital processed looking, but it's not that bad. I would say that I really did enjoy the 4K quality on this. I would say that 4K quality wise, it's not the best 1 out of the 7. But now let's talk about the audio. It enhances everything about this movie in the audio, because this is the only Nightmare on Elm Street film out of the original 7 films that actually had an actual digital multi-channel discrete audio presentation in theaters back in 1994. All the previous films before it did not. It's kind of like, comparing GoldenEye to, everything made from The Spy Who Loved Me for That License to Kill. Those were in Dolby Surround or Dolby Stereo. GoldenEye was the very first James Bond movie to actually have, discrete audio. And it shows when you get to that film during the marathon, and it definitely does when you get to this film, the Nightmare on Elm Street marathon. At least, or should I say, at least it did. It doesn't anymore, because these new transfers, these new audio presentations are top notch. They're definitely much better than they have been in the past, for sure. So there is that as well. So I definitely do like that. All right. Now that we're done with the quality segment, now we're going to do two rankings, to be told. Two rankings. First off, let's go ahead and talk about let's talk about the 4K rankings. I say that's a quick and easy one. All right. Coming in at the very top, I would have to put Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 being the very best 4K transfer in the bunch, followed by Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, followed by Freddy is Dead: The Final Nightmare, followed by Wes Craven's New Nightmare, followed by A Nightmare on Elm Street, followed by Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. I would definitely have to say that the one that I think is the least impressive one out of all 7 would have to be Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Now let's go ahead and do the real ranking, the one you guys really want. And we're going to be going from worst to best. And this will include the 2010 movie. Coming in at number 8. And I will give a reason, I might add. Coming in at number 8 will be 2010's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Why? Because of 2 reasons. They changed the character to where he's a pedophile, while you had to come to conclusion on asking yourself the question with the original films: is he a pedophile or is he just a maniac that kills children? And then Wes Craven has made it very clear that he's always preceded Freddy Krueger is a slaughterer of innocents. He's a maniac serial killer that kills children. He never really did throw it in your face that he's a pedophile. They kept that out. And there's a reason why you kept it out, because that's too disturbing. The other one, even with Nightmare 1 and 2 in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Freddy's always had a little bit of a dark humor personality. There's almost absolutely none in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 10. And the third reason that I just came up with just a second ago in my mind is this is a remake. There's a reason why some remakes, like say House of Wax or Texas Chainsaw Massacre from Phantom Dunes, are so radically different in every way to the original films, because that's the way you need to do a remake. I think I covered this when, I talked about the remake of Fright Night from 2011. That movie works so well because it's almost completely different from the original 1985 film. And if they would have done that with 2010's Nightmare on Elm Street, rather than trying to go more of, the 1998 Psycho movie, trying to be almost a direct copy and changing very little about the movie, I think it would have been a better film. So that number 8, Nightmare on Elm Street, 2010. Coming out number 9, Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. For reasons that are very obvious, is the Looney Tunes cartoon version. They threw out all of the darker tones, all of the scary, sinister stuff they could have done, and they went ahead and just made it a comedy show. Now, there still is a very good dark story in there, with the Freddy's daughter type of thing and all that going on, that is kind of cool. And of course, they put the gimmick of 3D in the film. They made Freddy more polished, and that right there goes with another reason. You see, if you pay attention to the first five Nightmare on Elm Street movies, there is no brim on Freddy's teardrop fedora hat. It's a damaged, beat up, rugged teardrop Fedora hat. Wow, it looks like a polished, brand new, well taken care of with a brim on it. You know, that little thing on the hat. You know what I'm talking about, the thing you put around the hat. I should know what that's called because I happen to have two teardrop Fedoras I wear during winter, but I can't split in my mind. But you never had one of those, and the hat looked like, you know, it was in bad shape in the first 5 films. But then you get to Freddy's Dead Film Nightmare. It looks like he's kept it up and it's in perfect condition. Also, take a look at his sweater in the film. His sweater's all torn up in the other 5 films. The sweater looks like it's been taken care of. I mean, what you go from making us have this belief that when he was set on fire and torched, that, you know, it affected the sweater and the trousers he's wearing, and it affected the hat he wears. Then you go ahead and bring this nonsense of his clothes are in perfect condition. His teardrop Fedora hat is in perfect. No, don't do that. That's just lazy. You did not need to do that. So coming at number 9, Freddy's Dead Film Nightmare. Coming in at number 8. Number 8 for me would probably have to be, well, probably would have to be A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. Yeah. No, I'm not doing it. I definitely want to be diverse. This is going to piss people off. This is going to piss a lot of people off. But coming out number 8 to me is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. Why? I'm pretty sure I lost 100 people on here, haven't I? Or maybe I gained 100. Well, I'll tell you why. It's for the same reason why I will never rank Goldfinger all the way up at the top. Just because a movie is thought out to being this template that all the other films have to follow does not necessarily mean that it's the best one of the film franchise. And I think that's the reason why people hold Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 so high up there. To me, it is definitely at number 8. It's in the bottom 3, and that the reason why it's in the bottom 3 to me is because of the fact that, to me, it's just starting to give us what we perceive as Freddy, but it's still kind of, you know, keeping it in that darker tone. But what annoys me so much about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 is the lack of rewatch value. I could put Wes Craven's New Nightmare in. I can put Nightmare 5. I could put Nightmare 4. I could put Nightmare 2 in on any given Sunday off and enjoy the film. I just don't feel like I get that with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Whenever I'm doing a Nightmare on Elm Street marathon, then yes, I'll put in 3. But Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 has never, ever, to me, been the first Nightmare on Elm Street film that comes to mind when I watch a Freddy Krueger film. Now, I do like the movie. I mean, after all, it's right here. Now, let me make this very clear. All 7 of these films are good. I'm not quite sure. And you know what? All 8 films are good. I would say I get joy out of Nightmare on Elm Street Part, the remake. I get joy out of the remake, but I cannot stress enough how I just feel that Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 rewatch value is just not as good as a lot of the other ones. So coming at number 8 would be Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. Coming at number 7. At number 7, I would definitely have to put Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, to me, it has all of what has been established as Freddy Krueger and what he's supposed to do. But then it just has more of like that, if I want to watch a darker, gothicer Nightmare on Elm Street film that kind of has a little bit of what you expect from a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, you'll get it, but you won't get it nearly as fun as the other films. because this is kind of like the middle of the road movie at number 7 with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, the Dream Child, is when Freddy does have his quirks. Is some of it's kind of just way too out there and kind of gross, but it does have a lot more rewatch value to me than Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors, which is why it's above Dream Warriors. See, if Dream Warriors wasn't so mediocre to me, I think it would be the best way to put it, and so overrated, I probably would put Nightmare 3 at 7 and put Nightmare 5 at 8, but that's not the case. So that's why Nightmare 5 is just one step higher than Nightmare 3 is. Coming in at number 6, to me, well, let's just recap. So, remake at 8, Freddy's Dead at 9. 8 would be wow. Okay. I'm screwing around with this, so let's do this right. So at 8 you have so let's just recap. At number 8 you have the remake. At number 7 you have Freddy's Dead. At 6 you have Nightmare 3. At 5 you have Nightmare 5. Well, you know. So let's go to 4. All right. So coming in at number 4. Sorry, I had to correct my my numbers in there. Coming in at number 4, to me, would probably have to be Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Now, I know that's interesting. I said it was ranked high. Well, that's pretty high compared to my last time I ranked these films years ago. But yeah, coming out number 4 is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. I think the reason why is because although this is probably maybe the most scariest one to me, it just doesn't feel like a established Nightmare on Elm Street film when I think of a Nightmare on Elm Street. But it is a fun film to watch. So if I want to watch just a horror film, but it doesn't have to be Freddy, but I still want to watch a Freddy film, this is one I usually gravitate towards. But I don't gravitate towards this film if it was a definitive Nightmare on Elm Street movie I want to watch. Which brings us to number 3. Number 3 for me is gonna have to be a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. I really enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. I have ever since I started watching these films as a child. It still holds up quite well. I say that the rewatch value has kind of went down for me, considering the fact that I'm in my 40s now and I'm not a teenager. But man, when I was a teenager, this movie was on repeat all the time. And it's not just because of nostalgic stuff, it's because it's the most innovative film out of the entire franchise. So it obviously is going to be way up there in the top 3. And all for that reason. Coming at number 2. This is where it's really going to piss people off. Coming at number 2 is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. I know, I'm cursing in church now. I'm being sacrilegious to the fans. Yeah, I can hear it all now. The film holds up. It's still one of the greatest horror films of all time. But I just like Wes Craven's Nightmare better than this movie. I would say that both of these films, if you could put them together, like me, one of them's got to be on top and one of them's got to be right below it. Because in my opinion, Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street and Wes Craven's New Nightmare are the 2 best films in the entire franchise. Now, the reason why Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 comes at number 2 for me and not number 1 is because I just feel that the film, to me, it just seems a little little dated compared to the seventh film. But I also find the seventh film a little bit more creative than the first one. In both of these films, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 and Wes Craven's Nightmare, are responsible for groundbreaking filmmaking expansion, evolution, as it were. So that's what I have to say about that one. Now let's go on to number 1, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Okay, well, this is where irony comes in. First, let's talk about what Nightmare on Elm Street 1 did. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 in 1984 gave birth to New Line Cinema. It created one of the biggest film studios of all time. It quite literally is the house that Freddy built. But this is what's really cool about Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Wes Craven's New Nightmare not only lives up to the legacy of the first film and still establishes this is the house that Freddy built, but it also gave birth to one of the most popular horror film franchises of all time. The idea of having a bridge between movies and reality. And you guys don't know where I'm going with this. I'm talking about Wes Craven's franchise known as Scream, which started with his first film 2 years after Wes Craven's New Nightmare came out. It is not a coincidence. What I love about Wes Craven's New Nightmare is that it's one of the most ingenious horror films of all time for me, because of just having that heart reality in films kind of being separated and then kind of crossing over and to kind of come together like this. And the way they do it is so ingenious. I also love the fact that, it's not really Freddy Krueger. It is some demon that takes on the shape of Freddy Krueger. And I always loved the look of Freddy in this movie. And out of all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, is a teenager and as a child, I would say that Wes Craven's New Nightmare was the one that scared me the most. But it was also the one that I, enjoyed the most, and it still is today. In fact, when I first got this box set right here, the very first movie that I watched out of it was Wes Craven's New Nightmare before I started watching them in sequence for, sitting down in front of you tonight and talking about all 7 of them. And so, yes, I would say that my opinions have definitely changed, because that ranking about where I place them is definitely different from the way it was before. So because I did mess up the numbering, coming in at number 8 is Nightmare on Elm Street Remake. Coming in at number 9 is Freddy's Dead Final Nightmare. Coming in at number 8 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Remake. Coming in at number 7 is Freddy's Dead Final Nightmare. Coming in at number 6 is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. Coming in at number 5 is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, Dream Master. Coming in at number 4 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Coming in at number 3 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. Coming in at number 2 is A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. And coming in at number 1 is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. That's a very diverse, very different ranking. You probably haven't seen something like that from a fanboy of Nightmare on Elm Street films. And that is basically it. I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you guys next time for whatever movie reviews I do then. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed the last couple of months of movie reviews. And I'll see you guys next time. So long.